Since time began, humans were able to tell stories since they could speak, even using sign language as a form of communication. The purpose of storytelling is to entertain, provide new information, and educate us on the meaning of life. Visual storytelling encompasses the use of images and pictures, which are painted on cave walls, engraved on palace walls and tombs, and even using fabrics such as silk and cloth. The earliest use of visual storytelling was African rock art, which dates back around 30,000 years ago. It is one of the oldest forms of human expression, depicting images that show symbols of a particular theme, and often they tell us about the story of people's social lives, survival, and their encounters with wildlife. There are some images which experts have struggled to interpret their meaning. Before writing systems ever existed, humans were able to tell stories orally. These stories would get passed down from one generation to another, with the person recalling the narrative with their memory and voice. These stories would eventually evolve into myths and legends. Some of these stories were fables, tales with a moral message, or cultural traditions such as religious rituals, prayers, and songs. Today, oral storytelling is often transcribed into written text. Four times in the course of human history, writing systems have each been invented. Experts believed the earliest evidence of writing was the Sumerian civilization located in ancient Mesopotamia in modern-day Iraq. Cuneiform is a complex writing system consisting in the use of a stylus made from reed to mark on wet clay tablets. This was before ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics were introduced. This brings us to the first fictional story to ever be transcribed into written text, called the Epic of Gilgamesh, a mythic poem that was written on 12 tablets. The period of this story dated around the 3rd millennium BC. The story's protagonist is 1/3 man and 2/3 god who goes on an epic adventure, fighting off monsters and searching for the key to immortality. The text was actually a collection of poems, which was eventually completed as a story in 1200 BC by the Babylonians. Ancient storytelling methods have been incorporated in our modern-day lives. It is part of our society. The use of technological devices gives us the opportunity to tell the stories we want to tell. Whether they are told orally, text is either handwritten or printed, and through the use of sound and images. But what forms do they take? The ancient Assyrian palace reliefs were decorated with carved stones, which used to be very colourful. Ashurnasirpal II was the first Assyrian king to exclusively decorate his palace with stones. These images depicted stories of war, military conquest, and protective genies. They are similar to cartoon comic strips in how they are formed. They could either be viewed left or right. The Bayeux Tapestry depicted the historical event called the Battle of Hastings, which happened in 1066 when the Normans conquered England. The work at times has been seen as Norman propaganda, portraying Anglo-Saxon kings as villains. In recent years, political satirists did their best to imitate the cartoonist style of these images. The Japanese hand scrolls were a set of humorous stories which depicted animals, such as rabbits and frogs behaving like humans. This became known as the hand scrolls of the Brooklyn animals. Another story, Tale of the Monkeys, showed monkeys acting out serious and comical situations which would otherwise be considered human. Some experts believed this is how modern manga originated, in terms of the use of comic speech bubbles and visual imagery. Now we know where some modern storytelling methods came from, but will these ancient storytelling practices be preserved? What will the future of storytelling be?